patriot must always be ready to defend his country against his government. This is a clear call to make us all patriots. What do you see on that flag? 50 stars. Which one are we? We need to be reminded that we are the state of Florida, the Sunshine State, and the sun needs to shine again in this great state. Class size. We voted on it. We determined that we wanted smaller size because we wanted to benefit our kids. And I agree with that. The games that have gone on after that have been atrocious. The way that they calculate, and each individual school district determines based upon how they manipulate actually the students versus non-students is atrocious. I think that we need to readdress this and that we need to look at ways to truly fund our educational systems and stop taking and start giving. Redistricting. Ultimately, at this particular time, the state of Florida is in the hands of the Republicans. And those two amendments that we're facing are amendments that are written by individuals that want to attack the ability of the Republicans to redistrict. Now, should we be fair? Should we be honest? Absolutely. But ultimately, politics says that those that are in control should have the ability to design the districts that work within their favor. That's politics. If we think that we should be differently, then we should go to a non-party system and we should enter into a different state of mind. So I think that it's very important that at this particular time, we support the ability for individuals to do as equitably as they can, but at the same time, the reason why the Republicans are in the position that they're in is because they have the vast majority, because the vast majority of residents in the state of Florida have put them in there. Sewering. Two main concerns. One, fiscally, we need to position our state in a manner in which we can actually fulfill the bond commitment. Right now, both federally and on the state level, there's an authorization, but neither one can, at this particular time, afford to fund that authorization. We, as a state, need to look at how we can keep our bonding rating up, and through that rating, pay the constituents of Monroe counties the infrastructure fees that allow for them not to be overtaxed and overburdened. Ultimately, it's the state's responsibility to put into our infrastructure. We pay into state taxes. One of the main obligations, one of the core areas is infrastructure, and it's their responsibility, and the state should come up with that funding, and it should not rest upon wholly and solely the constituents of Monroe County. The Constitution is not an instrument for the government to restrain the people. It is an instrument for the people to restrain the government, lest it come to dominate our lives and our interest. Patrick Henry. Our lives and our interests are being severely challenged. Florida needs a bold plan for its future, and I need you. It's estimated by 2030, Florida will have an additional 7 million people, becoming the third most populated state in America. We have an economic crossroad before us. And I need you. This plan, this bold plan recognizes and looks at the reorganizing and energizing what we have in our hands, using what is within, providing education both to the students and the employees, uncovering innovation and economic development, investing in the next economy, international trade, the different forms of tourism, and space, the final frontier. Infrastructure, energy solutions, water resources, transportation, ports, food, and agriculture. Leaving our present model of status quo, bureaucracy, to plow through into an entrepreneurial form of government. Not striving for success, but building steadily value, true value. We have to push the reset button. Property tax reform and relief must be our priority. It's not what it was, it's what it is today. We need to push the reset button, and we need to be accountable to our constituents. If your property is worth X, then we should be taxed on X, no more Y. We need to fit into the constraints that we have. We need to use the same scissors that we've used at home and in our businesses on the state of Florida. We need to represent legislatively to the governor, because there's two different roles. what our responsibility and what our response is in this particular time, in this particular circumstance, to trim Tallahassee. Ultimately, it's our commitment, the individuals that are standing here today, to stand in a form, in a manner that speaks, because voters vote with their feet, they get to the polls. A government that robs from Peter to pay Paul can always depend on the support of Paul. No longer can Paul be supported. We need to get away from the idea that unions and union control dictate and create a mule form of democracy, but instead allow innovation and technology as well as work studies which allow for the stimulus funds to be applied practically without making the unions of our state first choice. From leading the city of Key West after being newly elected into office, from the recovery of Hurricane Wilma, to leading the city of Key West to its greatest change by budget reform through the 2005 era. The city of Key West made it, and so can the state. The preparation, the opportunity that I've had as being the mayor of the city of Key West has created on a micro level what we need on a macro level at the state. We have to be able to look into the eyes of the individuals that are creating and fulfilling the operation of our state and say, we got to cut you. We have to be able to look at each department and do it in a manner that creates the core essentials, which allows for public safety as well as the investment of tax-paying dollars to make not only dollars but common sense, meaning that we can use our tax-paying dollars like we have done with the Vandenberg economically to not only stimulate but to create more jobs and to create less of a burden on the taxpayers. Morgan McPherson, I'm running for District 120, and I can tell you this, that we need your help, because what happens in Tallahassee can't stay in Tallahassee. The Democrat incumbent that has this seat has voted in a manner that has hurt many small businesses. At this particular time, he has received for the past 3 years a failing grade from the Florida Chamber of Commerce, from all the business aggregates, and we need somebody in Tallahassee that can represent our interest and bring home what we need to the Florida Keys. Thank you.